Swans. It is episode 36. That's 3 dozen for anyone who is counting. That's 3 dozen weeks of lockdown, masks, and zigzagging around the street trying to avoid people. It's the Feast of St. Nicholas today. The Feast of St. Nicholas. And St. Nicholas, patron saint of children, prostitutes, repentant thieves, not the other kind, and most importantly, pawnbrokers. So it's National Pawnbroker Day. And if any of you have ever availed yourself of the services of the pawnbroker, you may know that the sign of the pawnbroker is the 3 balls they hang outside their door. That's their sign. And that comes from St. Nicholas, who apparently saved 3 young girls from being sold into lives of prostitution and slavery by throwing 3 little bags of gold into their father's house so he could buy their freedom. So good old St. Nick, you know, gotta love him. But the thing about St. Nick, especially in Germany and Eastern Europe, is he has a sidekick. When he's going around, you know, giving out presents and, you know, visiting the prostitutes and the children and the pawnbrokers and so on, and the repentant thieves, he's got a buddy, and his buddy is named Krampus. Krampus is like a devilish character who identifies all the children who've been bad that year and beats them with sticks, which, you know, I'm all for that. I mean, if you've been a bad kid, yeah, well, yeah, whatever. Anyway, Krampus, bit of an Eastern European German thing, beating the kids that have been bad, and they probably deserve it. It's Jean Ritchie's birthday. Remember Jean Ritchie? She is like the frickin' Jimi Hendrix of the Appalachian dulcimer. You know, that little instrument that's so easy to sound terrible, and she made it sing, and she knew like 10,000 songs, and she is like a hero to the folk music world because she just recorded all those old songs and kept them alive for us. So thank you very much, Jean Ritchie. It's Delmar Schwartz's birthday. Delmar Schwartz was an American poet, you know, in the middle 20th century. He was a poet and alcoholic and curmudgeon, not necessarily in that order. He wrote a couple notable poems in Dreams Begin Responsibilities and The Bear. But what we really love Delmar Schwartz for is that he was Lou Reed's professor at the University of Syracuse. And Lou was very taken by Delmar Schwartz and his curmudgeonliness and his alcoholism. And Lou actually dedicated a song, European Sun, to Delmar Schwartz on the first Velvet Underground record. So yeah, Delmar Schwartz, poet, alcoholic, curmudgeon, thank you very much for inspiring Lou Reed. Stuff that made us happy this week. Okay, Kevin the elephant made it. He made it to Cambodia. They packed him into this gigantic crate. He had to lose weight, you know. He's the loneliest elephant in the world, and he was in Islamabad, and they were shipping him to the elephant sanctuary in Cambodia. They got this gigantic crate. He's so big that they had to hire this big Russian freight airplane to fly him down, and the pilot of the airplane's going, I hope he doesn't like move around a lot, because if an elephant's moving around inside my plane, it's going to be bad, and we're going to crash and die. But Kevin was a very good frequent flyer. He was nice and calm while flying to Cambodia. And when he got there, you can see it on the interweb. You know, they're opening the crate, and he comes out, and there's Cher singing a song to him. Cher paid for all this, a lot of it. So let's hear it for Cher. It's a good news story. And Kevin's there in Cambodia. He's already touching trunks with some lady elephants, so you know where that's going to go. And good work. On a street in Toronto known as Inglewood Drive, they've apparently decided that all the houses on this fairly long street, multiple blocks, will have this gigantic 20-foot tall inflatable Santa Claus on their front lawn. And if you see pictures of it, it's fucking amazing. It's Santa Stonehenge, right? And this Stonehenge is not in danger of being crushed by a dwarf, as they say in Spinal Tap. These are big fucking Santas. Apparently last year, somebody went around and stabbed some of the Santas to let the air out of them. But they're all patched up now, okay? And they're standing there loud and proud. Santa Stonehenge on Inglewood Drive in Toronto. Check it out. Last thing, a good friend of mine, musical genius, artistic genius, Sam Ferrara, for the last 27 years has had an art show at the Cameron Public House on Queen Street in Toronto. This year, obviously, he's not, because it's closed. But, not being one to curl up in a ball and hide under the bed, Sam Ferrara has teamed up with a friend of ours, and they've made a website. So this is freaking brilliant. So on December 13th, he's doing his 27th annual Cameron Art Show, and they got a website, and the website's going to turn on at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And he's going to do a couple songs with our friend John Bora, who produced the He Mistook for Swan album. And after that, you'll be able to see the pieces of art on the website and buy them. So this is just amazing. So you should definitely check it out. I'm gonna paste the link here for you. And if you haven't got it, if you need it, just email me. I'll send you the link, okay? Because Sam's art is incredible. This guy is cooler than the frickin' other side of the pillow, and it's going to be worth your while. You're going to love it. So this week we're going to talk about Blind Willie Johnson and his amazing music and his guitar playing, and it's going to blow your mind, okay? So hang tight. All right, I made a break for it. I'm out. I feel like Steve McQueen on The Great Escape. All I need is a motorcycle. It'd be cool to have a motorcycle, eh? Jumping over fences and shit. Nobody ever gives me a motorcycle. I'm not... They don't trust me, I guess. So Blind Willie Johnson. Who the hell was he? When Harry Smith was putting together the Anthology of American Folk, he had a pretty good idea of the types of music he thought were important. And he had a pretty good idea of the time period he thought was important. So the time was 27 to 30, 1927 or 1930. And one of the types of music that was important was gospel. So Harry put on this song, this strange, eerie song by Blind Willie Johnson on it. And if you listen to The Night Was Dark, The Ground Was Cold, it's not exactly a blues song. It's kind of a one-chordy thing. And it's more of a sermon. It's a fire and brimstone sermon. It smells of sulfur and hell, apocalypse, end times, four horsemen. You know what I'm talking about? It's serious end of the world music. And we love that shit now. So the Blind Willie Johnson, it's pretty hard to get a bead on exactly who he was and his life. Figuring him out is like somebody gave you a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing, and they threw in some other pieces from another puzzle just to fuck you up. So this, ethnomusicologists have spent years tracking him down, and then they've had some success, but it's still pretty murky. What we do know is he's born around 1897 in Texas. Around then, everything's murky, right? By the time he was 5, he told his dad he wanted to be a preacher. So he knew right off the bat that's where he wanted to go. His dad remarried, and he had a stepmom, and apparently dad and mom were having a big row about mom's perceived infidelities, and mom grabbed some noxious liquid, maybe some lye, and threw it, and it got in young Willie's eyes, and he was blinded. That's one story. Anyway, somebody else said that he looked at the sun during an eclipse for too long. But it seems much more likely that the lie story is probably what happened. So by the age of 7, he was blind. And that really limits your employment opportunities. So he became a traveling musician. And he got pretty fucking good at it. So he became one of the great slide players of all time, guitar slide. So he didn't use like a pipe or a glass slide like most other people did. He used a knife. He used a pocket knife. And he could make that thing sing like a baby. It is just eerie how fantastic he is. And all modern slide players go back to Blind Willie. So, for example, like Ry Cooder or a guy like Derek Trucks, those guys idolize Blind Willie Johnson. And they're still trying to get his sound, and they can't do it. He just had this magic control and tone, and that on top of that, he had this crazy humming and baritone singing like that he would do. And just all his topics were, apocalyptic pretty much. So, this stuff is made for Nick Cave, right? There's a famous episode when Willie was traveling around one time, and he's outside the customs house in New Orleans, and he's singing this song, I'd like to tear this building down. And he is so good that he riles up the crowd so much that they had to call the cops and shut it down. He was that good. He's just standing on a street corner preaching the blues, and people are ready to tear that building down. In Texas, he's a street corner singer. And apparently he was singing like just around the corner from where Blind Lemon Jefferson was singing. So you can imagine this. Two of the greatest blues guitar players of all time, like 100 feet apart. You think they maybe exchanged some tips? I think maybe they did. Anyway, Willie recorded 30 sides of music. And they were pretty damn successful considering the time. He sold thousands of records, actually. He never got rich off of it, but his records sold. He was a happening artist at the time. But he was still, he was just a street corner preacher. They traveled around. It's hard to pin down where he was at any particular time. He married a bunch of times. It seems like maybe he was married to different people at the same time. Who knows? We'll leave that to those people who want to track that shit down. Eventually, later in the 40s, he was in a house and his house burned down. And apparently they wouldn't take a blind guy into the hospital. The fact that he was of African-American origin and, the Jim Crow situation in the States may have also had something to do with it. Anyway, he didn't go into the hospital, so he ended up living in his burned-out house for another week, and he took sick and died. So, that's kind of the sad story of Blind Willie Johnson. Now, he has a great afterlife. For example, guys like Son House. Son House wanted to be a preacher, and he knew about Blind Willie Johnson's songs. He knew this song, John the Revelator, and there's even like good YouTubes of Son House singing John the Revelator. Son House was like a mentor to Robert Johnson, and he was a friend of Charlie Patton. Both those guys influenced by Blind Willie Johnson's slide playing. Okay, other people, Howlin' Wolf. He was totally influenced by this. Mance Lipscomb, great Texas blues guy. Okay, move forward to the 60s. Guys like Eric Clapton did his songs. Bob Dylan took his song In My Time of Dying and put it on his very first record. Bob apparently grabbed his girlfriend Susie Rototo's lipstick case and played the slide for that song. Bob is no Blind Willie slide player, but it's okay. He did good. So, and the story's cool anyway. Led Zeppelin took In My Time of Dying, turned it into an 11-minute rock opera opus, overblown, and then they have the nerve to say that they wrote it. Boo. Everybody's done his songs. Hot Tuna, oh man, all the folk guys, Dave Van Ronk, Peter, Paul and Mary, Buffy St. Marie. In England, Davy Graham, John Renbourn of Pentangle did a whole bunch of Blind Willie Johnson songs. So this guy is just legendary, and you should really turn on your Spotify after this and just listen to a couple, because it is just spectacular. So in 2016, some guys actually put together a tribute album and got all sorts of modern luminaries like Tom Waits and Derek Trucks and Lucinda Williams. And our local heroes, the Cowboy Junkies, did this song, Jesus Coming Soon. Jesus Coming Soon is It's an apocalyptic, that's easy for me to say, apocalyptic plague song about the Spanish flu, okay? And how appropriate is that for our times, okay? So I just have to do it. I have to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do Jesus Coming Soon by Blind Willie Johnson. And, you know, we all just love talking about the COVID, don't we? Like every frickin' conversation we have is all about the COVID. You know, we got the numbers. It's like we're in competition, you know, and low score wins, right? So we only got 400. We win, you know. And you know, every damn conversation we have is about COVID. I'm just as bad as anybody else. You know, I'm not pointing fingers. I do it too. So I'm going to try and get it out of my system. So I'm singing this song, Jesus Coming Soon, apocalyptic plague song, and then I'm going to add in every other freaking song I can think of that has the word sickness or disease in it, okay? So let's get it out of our systems, and then maybe we can move on, all right? You guys, be good. It's December. It's the Feast of St. Nicholas. You have to be good, or the Krampus is going to come and get you. We done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. We done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. In the year of 1918, God sent a mighty disease, killed many thousands on the land and on the sea. So we done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. So we done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. Where the great disease was mighty, and the people were sick everywhere. It was an epidemic, it floated through the air. We done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. We done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. Well, the doctors, they got trouble, yeah, they didn't know what to do. They got themselves together, they called it the Spanish flu. Well, we done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. Oh, we done told you, God done warned you, Jesus coming soon. You give me fever, give me fever all through the night. Sick as a dog, what's your story? Don't stand too close to me. A margarita passion had to get her fix. She wasn't well, but she was getting sick. I don't need no doctor, 'cause I know what's ailing me. All I need is my baby. You don't know my misery. The people who die, they're all my
our friends and they died. Don't fear the reaper. Knock, 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 knocking on heaven's door. And we all fall down. Yeah, we all fall down. I got the rockin' pneumonia, got the boogie woogie blues. Love gonna get you like a case of anthrax. That's one thing you don't want to catch. My girlfriend's in a coma. It's serious. It's serious. It's serious. It's serious. I was shaking all over. Yeah, I was shaking all over. I was shaking. I was sweating. You got me nervous. I was shaking. Getting fever. Oh, when you kiss 'em. A fever if you're red and done. I get fever till you're sizzling. What a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn. We can make each other happy. We should make each other happy. We got to make each